Where are your clothes? Sans opens the door and walks inside. Hey, I'm back. He's barely inside the house before a tall figure dashes out of the kitchen and stands in front of him. Dust? Where have you been, you lazy bones? You missed dinner, and one certainly would not want to miss a meal from the great papyrus. Hey, sorry, I was just sculling around. You chuckle silently to yourself, bones rattling a little, but the sound was blocked by the loud groan from the tall papyrus. This is not the time for your terrible puns. You know you aren't allowed outside by yourself, this late at night. Dust releases an agitated sigh. I'm not a baby, bones Jupiter. I can take care of myself. Papyrus or Jupiter pauses in his scolding. He shifts nervously on his feet, wringing his hands together in a nervous fashion. I know. But the others don't like it when we leave on our own, he says while looking at his feet. His expression is a mixture of hurt and frustration. Others? You decide not to think too deeply about it as you pop out from behind Sans' shoulder and wave hello to the new skeleton. Papyrus or Jupiter is really tall, probably around 6 feet 8 inches to 7 feet, not sure. He has a red scarf with matching red gloves and boots. His shirt appears to be white armor paired with blue short shorts. His teeth are crooked and uneven, and his eye sockets are small and sunken in. Staring at his teeth make you feel a dull pain in your own. He looks at you with a bright smile, moving around Sans to pose dramatically as he tries to introduce himself. Oh, hello tiny skeleton. I am the GRE. He cuts himself off as he stares at you, mouth agape. My goodness, he covers his eyes with his hand as he quickly turns away from you. Why, you're naked. Where are your clothes? He asked, sounding rather frantic. Confused, you look at Sans while tilting your head ever so slightly. You can't exactly sign to Jupiter when he isn't looking at you, and you don't think he has telepathy either. Sans stares at you for a moment before giving a nonchalant shrug. Don't know. She didn't have any when I found her. This is unacceptable. We must find her some appropriate clothes immediately. Dust. It is very rude to stare at someone who is unclothed. He yells in a very frantic fashion, while trying to look at Sans but not you. Hey, what's with all the noise? Another skeleton appears from the staircase. He's dressed similarly to Sans. He's wearing a thick blue jacket with white fur lining his hood. Underneath his jacket is a simple white t-shirt that's paired with black basketball shorts with white strips down the side. He's wearing white socks with light blue sneakers. His skull looks like it's seen better days. His left socket is almost completely made up of a large red eye light, while his right socket is completely devoid of any light. Looking a little higher, you can see an uncomfortably large hole on his skull just above his left eye. You try not to stare at the hole on his head, afraid of getting sympathy pain like when you looked at Jupiter's teeth, but you still smiled and waved at him regardless. He just stood there looking at you, like he was frozen. Was he stunned speechless because he's wearing similar clothes to Sans? I think people who wear clothes don't like it when others wear the same clothes as them. Sans, shield your eyes. We must get some clothes for her this instance. He yells as he runs up the stairs, dragging the frozen skeleton, who was still looking at you, with him. But his red eye light was gone. Rude. You say as you put your hands on your hips, as Ghost Paps tilts his head in confusion. So, why aren't you wearing clothes? Asks Dust. You stare at him blankly for a moment before realizing he's serious. Skeletons don't wear clothes, you state matter-of-factly. Ghost Paps tilts his head once again while Dust returns the equally blank stare. I'm wearing clothes. Yeah, and it's weird. They look at you like you've grown a second head, which you don't understand because you're perfectly normal. Well, technically you're weird by skeleton standards, but that has nothing to do with you not wearing clothes. Jupiter comes storming back down with the other Sans and an armful of clothes, which he shoves in your face without looking at you. Here you go, tiny skeleton. Please put these on. I even checked to make sure they were clean for you. You accept the clothes from him as he was telling you where to go to get dress. Instead of moving to get dress, you promptly drop the clothes at your feet and stare up at him with defiance. The room is silent as everybody stares at the small pile of clothes on the floor. Dust's laughter breaks through the silence as he brings his hand up to cover his mouth, in an attempt to restrain his laughter. The other Sans is looking away with a slight blue dust on his cheekbones. What's wrong, tiny skeleton? Do the clothes not suit your taste? He asks, still not looking at you. Skeletons don't wear clothes. He isn't looking at you, so he doesn't see you signing. Dust, can you please help me here? He starts to bring in his mirth, finally calm enough to speak clearly. Kid said she doesn't want to wear any clothes. He looks highly amused. Maybe he never wanted to wear clothes either and is happy to have someone on his side. What? Sans looks at you before quickly looking away again. But that's incident. You must wear clothes. He states as he frantically picks the clothes off the floor and tosses them into your arms once again. You're about to throw the clothes back on the ground when ghost paps float in front of you. Please wear the clothes. What? Why? Why can't they get natural? Skeletons don't even wear clothes. But we do. You're silent as the two of you watch each other. Crossing your arms around the clothes while pouting, you consider what he said. You are in their house and they do seem to find clothes important, although you don't know why, and it'll be hard to have a proper conversation with them if they can't even look at you. Looking around, only Dust and Ghost Paps are looking at you. The other are still looking away. Sans is nervously rocking back and forth on the heels of his feet as he sweats navy blue liquid. Jupiter is still looking at the ceiling while fidgeting with his fingers and occasionally shifting his weight on his feet. With a heavy sigh, you give in to the weird skeletons and decide to wear the clothes. Taking off your bag, you gently place it on the floor for a moment as you get dressed. You place the shorts on your bag as you put on the simple light blue t-shirt. Once the shirt is, uncomfortably, in place, you move to put the shorts on. Once you are properly wearing the clothes, you grab your bag again and let it hang from your right shoulder. No point in leaving the room to get dressed when the two who are uncomfortable aren't even looking at you and the other two don't seem to care. Turning toward Dust to sign and notice that he has a faint dusting of purple on his cheekbones. Hey, can you tell them I'm dressed now? What am I, your translator? He asks with a slightly smug expression. Yup. At least until they can look at me. You say with a teasing smile. Hey, guys, she dressed so you can look now. They hesitate a bit before looking at you, but when they do they look very relived. You pause, not wanting to apologize but feeling like you should anyway. I'm sorry for making you guys uncomfortable. Looking down at your feet as you continue to pout. There really was no need to apologize. Worry not, tiny skeleton. Although I do not know why you don't want to wear clothes, I am happy that you decided to wear them. It was then that you realized, they probably aren't weird but different. The eyelights, their bone structures, they can talk yet don't have telepathy, and the sheer fact that they wear clothes and like it. They aren't the typical mystic skeletons, you know, they're different. Monsters. They're monsters. Is there even a skeleton monster class? Not much is known on monsters, since monsters keep their info on the down low. Gently rocking on the heels of your feet, you nervously ask, so how about we start over? My name is YN, what's yours? Jupiter's face lights up as he poses dramatically, hands on his hips as he puffs his chest out with pride. I am the Great Papyrus. And this is my lazy brother Sans. Hey, Sans says with a lazy wave as he walks to his brother's side with his hands in his jacket pockets. So, there are two Sanses living here. What are the odds? You giggle at the unlikely odds of two sets of monster skeletons with the same name living together. He huffs in displeasure before speaking again, you'd be surprised. Brother. Papyrus elbows Sans in the arm before looking back at you. I'm sorry, tiny skeleton, this must be very confusing for you. We all have nicknames to help identify us. I'm sure you know from our previous conversation, but I'm referred to as Jupiter. He points to Dust standing beside you as Dust, and my brother is known as Mars. You can see why he's Mars with the big glowing red eye light and find it adorable that the taller sibling is Jupiter. Or, that's adorable, you exclaim while clasping your hands together in front of your chest. They get that faint dusting on their cheekbones, although Jupiter's is a light orange. Hey, I know you said only Dust and I can see you, so does this mean you don't have a nickname? You ask Ghost Pap, who is floating between you and Dust. He just shakes his head in response. Well, do you want a nickname? Or I can always just refer to Jupiter by his nickname. He stares at you with wide eye sockets before speaking in a soft voice, so soft you almost didn't hear it. Why you apostrophe d do t that for me? You stare at him confused for a moment before smiling. Of course, if you want a nickname, that is. He nods his head enthusiastically as he awaits with sparkling eye sockets for your nickname. Thinking a bit as you tap your chin with your finger, you come to a decision. How about Ember? His hands cup his cheekbones as his smiles widens and the sparkles in his sockets intensifies. Yes. That is a wonderful name, for someone as great as I. This is the happiest you've seen him since you meet him, which admittedly wasn't for very long. Chuckling, you glance towards the other three skeletons who are still present. Dust looks at you and Ember with a mixture of wonder and adoration, while the other two seem confused as to what's been going on. Realizing that they can't see Ember nor do they have telepathy, it must have looked like you and Dust were staring at each other or having a silent conversation. You make a coughing gesture as you silently cough and bring the attention solely onto you. So Dust, did you want to eat first? Papyrus said you missed dinner after all, you ask, pointing to what you assume to be the kitchen. Dust refocuses on you, his smile more relaxed, almost warm, as he speaks. Sure, we can move this to the kitchen. You follow Dust with Ember, Jupiter, and Mars following close behind. The kitchen is down hall and to the right of the doorway. Facing across from the kitchen is the living room area. The inside of the kitchen is clean with a simple setup, counters lining 2 of the 4 walls with an oven to the far wall and a double sink on the adjacent wall. Above the sink is a window and opposite of it was the refrigerator. In the middle of the kitchen sat a small table that can fit 4 people. Dust sits down at the table and you take a seat next to him, removing your bag so that it sits beside your chair. Mars sits across from you, looking between you and Dust with skepticism. Jupiter moves throughout the kitchen as he starts preparing to reheat the leftover food. So, why are you here? Mars pipes up from across the table, his one eye light boring into you. Sans. He turns around so fast that some of the spaghetti sauce on his spoon splashes on the floor and table. That was very rude. I'm sorry, tiny skeleton, my brother can be rather uncouth, he says as he returns to the pot on the stove but turned slightly so he can still see you sign. No, it's fine. I was on my way to Ebot City when I got caught in a trap, and Dust helped me out. Ember already mentioned that they can't see him, so might as well not bring him up in the conversation yet. He invited me to stay the night. I hope that was okay? Of course, tiny skeleton. We can have a sleepover. He places a plate of spaghetti in front of you and Dust. And you must try my famous spaghetti. It's not my special friendship spaghetti, but it is just as good. The food smells and looks delicious, but I would love to, but I can't eat. Nonsense. Everyone wants room for the great Papyrus cooking. He poses dramatically with sauce-covered spoon still in hand. He looks at you expectantly as he waits for you to take a bite. Mars drums his phalanges rhythmically on the table, as he watches you with a calculating stare. You sigh and try signing again. Jupiter, I really can't eat food, you try to tell him as clearly as possible. You're a skeleton, so it should be obvious that you can't eat, but apparently, they can eat. No need to be modest, we have plenty more, so feel free to eat without worry. He says as he sits beside Mars. Mars narrows his eye sockets at Dust before looking back at you. Dust is resting his head in his hands as he looks at you with raised bone brow. Sighing, you get up from your seat and grab a meatball. You move to stand by the table so that all four of them can look at you. Once all confused eyes are on you, you pop the meatball in your mouth. The meatball hits your spine, bounces off and hits the back of your lower jaw before falling to the floor. It's silent as everyone watches the meatball roll a few inches away from your feet. See? It's not like I don't want to eat your food, but I physically can't. What? How is that possible? Scratching the back of your head, you release a sigh before looking back at them. I think it's time we had a little chat.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!